Welcome everyone to this week's interview. Today we have one of our, most popular guests back. He is, of course, Zachary Tinkle. Zachary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. I was gonna list off all of your accolades, but I was like, every time he comes on, it feels like it takes like the first 5 minutes to like name all of the championships and all. So I'm like, most people by this point probably know. Okay, Zachary, ton of wins, ton of championships. Um, but for this year, we saw you racing in the Arkham Menard series. For you, moving up from the like lower divisions, was it a challenge to move to these bigger tracks and longer races?
For me, I would say on the bigger tracks, for me, it was actually more exciting than a challenge. I say I felt like I was really well prepared, and I felt like it went extremely well. I think the bigger tracks ended up being some of my better ones, surprisingly this year, and I just seemed to take to them really well, which for me was kind of a pleasant surprise. But I think I'm glad on that because I felt like I've really stepped up my game in that regard during the off season.
Now, was it? I know the arc, isn't it's not like a cup race where you're there for 5 hours or whatever. Being like with the longer races, was it challenging, or is it really kind of easier to get into a rhythm and have it keep going and all?
I would say the longer races, I definitely did a lot. Definitely, like for the hot races in the middle of the summer, you definitely felt a lot more during the summer months. But that's why I go train at Pit Fit Training, and they have an infrared sauna, and you basically I would sit in it for like 2 hours, 2 hours at a time, and that was just to train my body for heat resistance. And so once I started incorporating that into my training, I felt like it really made my season a lot better when I
Mhm.
started doing that.
Awesome. Um, is there one thing in particular that the 2022 season taught you as a driver?
I would say definitely that relationships matter because, I would say without that, I wouldn't have been able to complete the season. And for me, having to, a lot of the races we didn't know we'd be like Monday. We wouldn't know if I'd even have a ride for the race or not. And so being there is, just having those relationships really helps. And for me, it was, great to work with many people this year and on to next year.
Awesome. Last year, you had a pretty major health situation with your dad. How did you make it through those? Like, how do you make it through those situations when you're going? You're trying to pursue this dream of racing, but life is just going crazy, in the background.
I would definitely say compartmentalizing because for me, I feel like I've gotten fairly good at it, and that is, just compartmentalizing. You know when not to think about one thing, and you just focus on it, and you compartmentalize and focus on the task at hand, and that's something that I've really taught myself a lot. And going to sports psychologist, it really has helped me out a lot in that regard. And I feel like that make me, I came out of that stronger
Mhm.
too from that experience. And I think for me it was definitely not easy for sure by any means, but I feel like that helped me grow both as a driver on
Mhm.
the track and as a person off the track.
It's awesome. Yeah, I feel like there's so like it's so stressful just like the on track, in the garage perspective. So whenever I see drivers start going through these personal things, I'm always like, man, that's it's crazy how you just how strong and like you said, you have to learn how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was actually kind of how after the season came out with our Racing for Rescues
Hmm.
initiative too. And so all that, through that experience, I feel like it helped me, a lot, and it encouraged me to give back to the fans who, crowdfunded me and through
Hmm.
21. So it was really great for me.
So now you've announced that you won't be returning to Wayne Peterson next year. Can you give us any hints or clues as to what your 2023 plans may look like, or perhaps what you would like them to look like?
I've got a really good idea. I can't really go into full detail on that just yet, but we're going to finalize some minor details, and we hope to have an announcement on my 2023 plans. I will confirm I will be back in the ARCA series in some capacity. And we'll see how, just need to go and sort out some very minor details and have something finalized. And we hope to have an announcement before the PRI show.
Awesome. And finally, out of the thousands of paint schemes that hit the track, is there one particular NASCAR paint scheme that stands out as your favorite of all time?
It would, in my opinion, it would definitely be Jeff Gordon's Rainbow Warriors car, because I was a Jeff Gordon fan growing up. So for me, it was definitely his Rainbow Warriors car. And that nothing beats that car for me. It's it's the most iconic scheme, and it's my all-time favorite scheme. And I even designed my mini cup car based on Jeff Gordon's scheme. So that I would say definitely for sure.
Awesome. Well, like I said, once again, like I really enjoy having you on. Ever since our first episode, to me, it's been cool to just to see the journey that you've taken. And I know there's so many other drivers out there that can relate to you because they might be 10 years old. They can look at you and say, "Well, Zachary has been on this path recently." So it's really awesome getting to have you on, getting to look at the story. And like I said, as a fan, selfishly, I enjoy getting to sit down and be like, oh, let me learn more about this up and coming driver. So thanks so much for joining us.
I thank you. I greatly appreciate it. I want to thank you for coming to Charlotte this year as well. And you were really great to be there with Charlotte with us. And I really enjoy being able to come on this show whenever I get the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks so much for inviting us there. It was a blast. So it was the first ARCA Garage Pass. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. So,
Yeah.
so all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Zachary.
No problem. Anytime.